Hi there. Alright, so in today's video, we're going to dissect the English exam pattern for class 10th boards. We all know the examination pattern has changed. We all know the kind of questions have changed. The kind of the syllabus that you would be reading through different terms has changed. So what we will attempt to do today is dissect a question paper and see how to prepare for it. That's the first step for you to start preparing for your board examinations. All right, let's get started. What you see on the screen is the general instructions for the board examination paper that you will face for term 1. This is for English language and literature. The time allocated for this exam is 90 minutes. The question paper will be divided into 3 sections. 1, section A is reading, section B is writing and grammar, and section C is literature. In section A, you will have 18 questions on the paper, right? But you don't have to attempt all 8. You need to attempt only a total of 14 questions. It's very important to understand that the 14 questions that you attempt, you're not going to get marks for the best 14 questions. You will get it for the first 14 questions that you attempt. So let's say you attempt question number 1 to 14 straight. That's what you will get marked for. If you have got question number 10 incorrect, right? But you've got question number 15 correct, your question number 15 or your answer number 15 actually will not be evaluated, will not be marked. Only the first 14 questions that you attempt will be marked. So it's extremely important to be careful about the questions that you pick to answer, right? You can go back to the previous question, uncheck it, and then go forward and make sure that you're attempting a question that you're sure about. But it takes time. Also be very worried about the time that you are investing in it, because the total time available to you is 90 minutes. All right, so section A, you have 18 questions. You need to attempt a total of 14 questions only. Your first 14 attempted questions will be marked. Anything you mark after that will not be evaluated. Section B is writing and grammar, which will have a total of 12 questions, but you need to attempt only 10. And the same rule applies over here, which is the first 10 questions that you answer will be marked. Anything after that will not be evaluated. Section C is literature. It has a total of 30 questions, but you don't need to attempt all of them. You need to attempt 26 of those questions. So 26 questions, the first 26 questions that you answer will be evaluated. Anything after that will not be considered. So I repeat this again, I highlight this again. Be very careful of the questions that you do attempt, right? And make sure that you don't over attempt, don't spend time on that. Instead, make sure the answers that you're sure of is what you attempt and you answer. All questions are going to carry equal marks, and there is no negative marking. You just have to be very careful about the time that you spend, because you have just an hour and a half, 90 minutes to attempt your question paper. So that's the first bit of it. We will take a look at an actual mock test paper to help you prepare through it. Let's do that now. The first section over here that you see is reading. You'll have a passage, right? Once you read the passage, you will have questions that are associated to that passage itself. So here you have passage number 1, and based on the understanding of that passage, you will have questions that you need to answer over here. So what you see over here is 5. You have 10 questions, but what you need to answer is only 8. So let's go back to the instructions. So you'll understand the passage and you'll answer any 8 of the 10 questions. So don't make an attempt to answer all the questions. Take a read, quick read, and answer the questions that you're sure about based on the passage that you've read. The same thing will apply for the rest of the reading passages that you will have. That's passage number 2. So make sure you're reading the instructions. You have to answer only 6 questions of the 8 questions that are given. So you have 6 questions over here, 8 questions in the previous passage. Now we come to section B, which is grammar and writing, right? So each topic under this or each section under this, you will have instructions that are given. So make sure you're reading the instructions clearly. In this section, grammar, you have to answer only 5 of the 6 questions that you have. The fourth part, which is under writing, is only answer 5 questions of the 6 questions that you have. Then comes the literature section. Again, make sure that you're reading the instructions very well. The sections has subsections 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 because you've already done 1 and 2 in passage, 3 and 4 under grammar and writing, and now in literature you have 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So there are a total of 30 questions, but remember, you don't have to attempt all. You have to attempt only 26 questions from the subsections together. All right, so here's section 5. So here under each section, you may or may not have exactly the number of questions you need to attempt, right? Like in passage, we saw you had to attempt 8 out of 10 questions or 5 out of 6 questions. In grammar and writing, you saw. But here under each section, you don't have that requirement or that specific instruction given. Only at the beginning of section C, you have that you have to attempt only 26 questions of the total 30 questions. So you might want to be a little more careful in this section itself because you have 30 questions to read through and 26 to attempt. All right, so that's a little bit about your English examination paper for term 1 for class 10th, right? I'm going to hide the presentation over here. How do you prepare for it? The best way for you to prepare for this, to make sure that you're ready for the difference in this format, you have MCQs only, right? And make sure that you're attempting it in the stipulated time. We used to have about 3 hours earlier, and that has come down to 1.5 hours. Your syllabus is less, but the number of questions that you can attempt or you're required to attempt is also less, right? So take practice papers that mimic the CBSE guidelines as is. Take up examinations, take up mock series that mimic the CBSE guidelines as is, and make sure that you're timing yourself as well when you are attempting those mock series. All the best.